Welcome to Leadership Traits Decoded. I'm Cynthia Kyriazis, Chief Experience Officer at the Culture Think Tank.
And I'm Drea Martin, product owner of The Crucible. We are collaborative partners at Performance Leadership Learning Lab, where we transform leadership intelligence into return-driven action.
Today, we're unpacking the leadership traits essential for building, investing in, and scaling successful companies. Our insights come directly from data-driven metrics within our platform's solution. So with that information, let's dive in. Drea, how are you?
Yeah, doing well. How are you, Cynthia?
I'm good. I'm so looking forward to this particular topic. And I believe the topic that we picked today was authenticity.
Yeah,
And that can mean different things to different people. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just start by telling us, what does authenticity mean in a traits assessment?
so authenticity means someone is acting according to one's true self. So another way of saying that is that they're behaving congruently with their values and their personality.
So it's pretty much what you see is really what you get. This is who I am. Okay, all right, cool. So authenticity, very good. In order to understand that particular trait in any organization, investor-backed, family-owned, any kind of situation, can you give me an example, or of somebody who is high performing when it comes to authenticity?
Certainly, yeah. So interestingly, the most authentic leader that I've worked with from clients and beyond is actually the CEO at The Crucible. Lindsay is an incredibly authentic leader, and she shows us and demonstrates her authenticity by being very open. She's clear about what she wants for the company. She gains significant trust by showing us all that she's well intentioned, that her mission aligns with what we want, what the company can benefit from, and by sharing quite a bit about who she is, not only as a leader in the workplace, but also as a mom and within her day to day.
That is awesome to know about your wonderful boss, Lindsay. The other thing that I heard you say is, she's open, she's clear, her actions lead to trust, which leads to, I guess, a certain amount of alignment, right? So trust and alignment are two of the cultural dimensions that we assess in our platform. It's four dimensions on all. There's communication, trust, alignment, and accountability. So you're hitting on two of those that authenticity kind of hits on. So this is good to know what that looks like when somebody is high performing. Now, of course, the next question is, can you give me an example of this experience you had with somebody who is challenged by authenticity, that trait?
Definitely. Yeah, so an interesting example that we had recently is we were working with a client, and I'm going to share another CEO example because when a CEO is inauthentic or particularly authentic, that travels down through the rest of the organization. So while authenticity is important in all roles, it's particularly important for that figurehead leader of a company. We were working with a company that already had a CEO set in place. They were very happy with him. He was incredibly good at what he did and works with the rest of the team. He's been around these people for a significant period of time and has established trust with the rest of the organization. But upon testing him, we found that he actually has low levels of authenticity, which made us trying to help them find the right fit of a CFO very difficult because it meant we had to pick a very particular persona to fit into this team that could still encourage the high performance of this group without detracting from the fact that there wouldn't be this initial trust with this leader. And the
Sure.
conversations with him were very interesting because he wasn't inauthentic intentionally, but rather set very clear boundaries. He didn't want to be or bring any of his personal life into the workplace, which is all right, but it's also difficult then for an organization and for people who don't know him to interact with him when they can't ever really know who he is, what he stands for. They just see this persona he puts forward at work.
Yes, and so therefore that speaks right back to communication and trust are the heavy hitters of those four dimensions I mentioned earlier. Alignment and accountability are important, but communication and trust in an organization are critical traits for sure that need to be developed. So that kind of leads me to the next question, which is we have someone who is challenged by authenticity. They need some guidance, and the CEO or the leader of this team or the organization wants to help that individual because they're bringing value. It's just they have this little thing they're doing that needs some work, that needs some help. So can you tell me, can you speak to the areas of development if you have somebody on your team who some of this profile of not a strong, authentic trait?
Definitely. Yeah. So self-awareness is a big first step because, like most traits that we test, these are areas that can be developed. While developing authenticity is not as easy as, say, if you scored low in math and then have to practice more math problems, it is something that can be worked on. And it's actually something that's once you are self-aware, whether it's taking a test or even getting and receiving that feedback from others, you have to then take a step back and really reflect and try to get to know yourself more deeply. Because an important part of showing up authentically is knowing what do you stand for and what kind of an impact do you want to make. So a huge part of authenticity and kind of developing in this space is accepting your own background, understanding what you bring to the table, how you can grow and improve within that space, but not trying to be anyone that you aren't, while also trying to make sure that your identities are as consistent and congruent across different aspects of your life.
So yes, it sounds like reflection is a big part of this to begin with, and then and that reflection can come with a discussion with either a coach or somebody on the management team, on the leadership team, their direct supervisor who can help coach through that. That's the first step, and the second step is feeling supported and moving forward with taking the steps required to try to develop a trait that is foreign to you, as it would be with any trait that's foreign to someone. There's the support aspect first, and then the practice second.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have one last question for you, Drea, and it's something that you said to me a while back when we were discussing which trait to talk about today. A while back, you said, "Oh, let's talk about authenticity. It's one of my favorite." And so I want to ask you, what is it about that that makes it one of your favorite?
Yeah, authenticity definitely stands out because while a lot of what I like about what I do at work is related to helping people and companies and investors find better fit and find alignment within their organizations for better performing teams and organizations as a whole, something I'm very passionate about as well is individual alignment. I want people to be able to find fulfillment in what they're doing. And where authenticity stands out in this space is that in order to have higher authenticity, you have to be more aware, or at least already quite consistent, who you are, what your values are, and the impact and the way you want to change or do and kind of show up every day. So I've found that higher authenticity is not only better for relationships, I like working with people who are more authentic, but it also means that the people who are actually going through and developing the skill set are getting more out of what they're doing because they're able to find that greater sense of fulfillment.
Super. So it's communication, trust, alignment, which we hear a lot about and we see a lot about in our platform.
Mhm.
Those things are very important to help somebody develop because of the value they bring.
Exactly.
So, Drea, thanks for all the information. I look forward to learning about the next trait in our next episode. And thanks everybody for joining us today. Thanks for listening to this episode of Leadership Traits Decoded. You'll be able to find all our episodes on the Performance Leadership Learning Lab website at www.pll-lab.com. Or you can listen on your favorite streaming platform.
We'll be back soon to explore the next essential trait. Until then, feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn if you have any questions or ideas.